I needed to check my cholesterol. I didn't expect this at all. My cholesterol is through the roof.
Hey, this is Ryan of Happy Healthy Vegan. So this week I'm going to take a look at the blood lab results for famous YouTuber, internet doctor, Dr. Mike. And he had some pretty bad cholesterol readings. So bad that he reached out to vegan cardiologist Daniela Bellardo, which adds some vegan interest to this video.
My number, my LDL cholesterol, was 185. Getting into the 190s is like potentially have a heart attack at age 40 with no symptoms bad. And I don't want to have a heart attack. I don't want to die. It was a brutal wake-up call for me. The general goal is we want to get the LDL cholesterol below 100.
So next, Dr. Mike shows what he says is a typical day of eating for him. And yeah, he's not a vegan or anything like that. Still have a few comments or questions about how he's eating. It does kind of raise some red flags for me, but hell, I'm not a doctor or dietitian or anything like that, but let's check it out.
I would wake up, not eat anything. I'm a big fan of intermittent fasting, don't have much of an appetite in the morning. And I worked out in the morning, so I burned like 800 calories. I need to consume some serious calories right now in order to not lose weight and keep some muscle on.
And just a side note there, I'm not saying Dr. Mike is lying or anything, but burning 800 calories at the gym, that's a lot of work because I track my calories when I work out too. And for me to burn about 800 calories at the gym, that means I'm playing like intense hardcore basketball for like, 80, 90 minutes. And we saw him there like weightlifting and stuff like that. When I weightlift, I'm lucky to burn maybe like 200 calories in that amount of time. So anyway, let's continue on.
So then I would continue along with my day till lunchtime where I would have a salad.
All right, so he said he's a fan of intermittent fasting, but still he's been up since 6:30 in the morning and the first food he has is afternoon and just a salad. And as you guys probably know, salads are typically not the most calorically dense food, so you can't be getting too many calories. And again, he's been up for like, over 6 hours now.
And then came dinner time. I was still working because I work really late hours where it would be like 10, 11, 12 a.m. and I'm done with work, but I'm starving.
All right, so no food in the morning when he gets up at 6:30, a light salad at noon, and then dinner maybe like at 10 or 11 p.m. or later. I mean, for me personally, this would not work. I would pass out, collapse. It just absolute no-go. But yeah, you're gonna be starving in the middle of the night, and that's his problem. He's in a caloric deficit and he's eating a ton of crappy food late at night.
So what I ended up doing was binge eating late at night, really low quality foods. An extra cheese pizza with pepperoni on it, I would take it to the face. A cheeseburger, a double cheeseburger, nuggets, or some kind of like crispy strips.
So at this point in the video, I'm going, hey, how can Dr. Mike, a medical doctor, a health professional, not realize that starving himself all day and binge eating just a few hours before bed and a bunch of bad food at that, how could he not realize that this might lead to some negative health consequences, such as really high cholesterol levels? And here's where I really feel sorry for Dr. Mike, because he falls under this false impression that many other people do too, medical doctors or not. It's the idea if you look good in a bathing suit or bikini, you got to be healthy. In his case, he had six-pack abs, so he's got to be healthy.
My body was looking great, like my six-pack started even coming in, but my cholesterol levels were quietly going through the roof because I was consuming a lot of saturated fat, a lot of fried foods, unhealthy foods, a lot of red meat, giant steak, like it was way too much red meat.
So that's good. Dr. Mike was being honest with himself there, admitting that he wasn't eating the best foods. In fact, far from, he's eating some pretty bad foods as far as heart health goes. And here's where the story gets really interesting and a little kind of personal for me, because he reaches out to vegan cardiologist Daniela Bellardo, who I have been planning to reach out to myself, because when I got my last blood test, my LDL was a little bit over 100. Nothing as crazy as Dr. Mike's, but being I'm vegan, I eat really clean, I don't eat high saturated fat foods and meat or dairy or anything like that. I want to see what a trained professional has to say, what kind of advice she might have for me. So I'm still going to reach out to her. I just haven't done so yet, but let's see what she told Mike to do.
Because I need someone to be objective, I reached out to my good friend, Dr. Daniela Bellardo, who's a well-trained cardiologist, knows everything about cholesterol and lowering cholesterol, and I knew she could be of help.
LDL cholesterol is the actual most important cholesterol that we look at with regards to cardiac risk. Even though I think you may have possibly some genetic components of high cholesterol, I do think that there's a lot you can do to reduce your LDL with diet significantly.
So yes, one reason why I want to talk to her is to learn more about these genetic components of high LDL cholesterol. Because like I said, I eat a really good, clean diet. So I'm strongly suspicious of there being some genetic components to it. But anyway, let's continue on.
Dr. Bellardo gave me 3 tips on how to lower my LDL cholesterol from least to most important that I follow. Third is to decrease dietary cholesterol.
Reducing the amount of any sort of kind of processed foods, junk foods, refined carbohydrates, that can make a huge difference.
Actually, here I have a question I'd like to ask Dr. Bellardo or anyone who might know, because Dr. Mike was talking about this first step is to reduce dietary cholesterol, which comes in the form of consuming animal products. Yet Dr. Bellardo listed cutting down on processed junk food, refined carbohydrates, which I totally agree with, but if there's no animal products in them, how do those foods raise your LDL cholesterol? Again, if someone knows the answer to this, let me know. My suspicion is maybe she's assuming that people are not eating vegan junk food, which is, again, could be really bad for you if they're high in saturated fat, which we'll get to in a second.
Second is to bump up my fiber intake to about 60 grams of fiber per day. Not an easy task.
Fiber only exists in plants. And so by eating more plant-based foods, whether it be fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, this can help reduce your cholesterol as well, and your LDL specifically.
Well, eating more plants, especially those of us vegans who are whole food plant-based, yeah, that's quite easy to do, eat more plants. But I guess for your average American, like Dr. Mike, sounds like he wasn't eating that many plants. So yes, up the fiber.
And first and most important is to decrease my saturated fat consumption.
Saturated fat we can see in both animal products and plant products. For example, coconut oil is really high in saturated fat and can raise your LDL. So dropping saturated fat by cutting back on red meat, butter, bacon, cheese, or high-fat dairy, that can make a huge difference too.
Yes, but Dr. Bellardo speaking there, that's become my life now. When I get a vegan processed food, I'll read the ingredients religiously to make sure it's low in saturated fat. You'd be surprised, guys, if you're not paying attention, how often like some kind of coconut oil or fat gets used in ingredients, particularly pretty much any vegan cheese, vegan ice cream, cookies. Read the packages carefully, guys, particularly if you're like me and Dr. Mike and trying to keep your LDL cholesterol low, because saturated fat is the enemy.
Knowing my cholesterol was so high, I knew I needed to start eating healthier. But eating healthy isn't always so simple. But it has become easier because of my Walmart Plus membership. You see, a membership gives you free...
Really, Dr. Mike? Like a 2-minute long Walmart paid sponsorship here? I mean, come on, this video of yours has like 1 million views. You're a medical doctor. Do you really need to have a Walmart product placement? Anyway.
I was primarily now getting my protein sources from fish as the #1 source, plants like beans, and then chicken. Those are like my 3 primary sources of protein.
I'm glad the big fatty steaks aren't on that list anymore, and I'm seeing more plants and beans, but really fish and poultry for protein. You are aware, Dr. Mike, that unlike the beans and all the plants, that those animal products still have dietary cholesterol.
When it comes to the second point of increasing fiber, that was probably the hardest. Not only was my GI system kind of a mess, like I was bloated, having some flatulence issues, once my body adjusted to the huge jump in fiber content, I started feeling a lot better and I became more regular and all of that improved.
Great, Dr. Mike. I'm glad to hear that you're pooping more. I'm always freely speaking about my BMs. Yeah, 2-3 times a day, not a problem, never constipated. And he also talked about how he used a fiber supplement to increase his fiber intake and also started eating a lot of one of my favorite foods.
The best way that I found to get my fiber in was through black beans. And I like black beans. I think they taste great, they have some protein, and the fiber content is amazing. Over the next month, because it's been about a month now following this, I will say certain changes became visible quickly. First, I actually lost 10 to like 12 pounds. I wasn't intending to lose the weight, but I was, and I was starting to look and feel better.
Actually, this weight loss of Dr. Mike's quite surprises me, because going vegan, or in his case, eating way more plants, it's not a weight loss diet. It's not some way to put you in caloric deficit. That said, I do know a lot of people who do, once they start eating more like we do, lose some weight pretty quickly, but usually those are people who are overweight. And Dr. Mike looks like he's working out all the time. He has his 6-pack abs. I don't know where these 12 pounds came from. That's puzzling.
I feel more energized when I wake up in the mornings. My stomach isn't as bloated.
Not sure how to explain the lack of a bloated stomach, especially if you have 6-pack abs. So anyway, I'm not going to dwell on that. Let's move on, because he followed this program for a month, and then he got his blood tested again to see how his cholesterol was doing. So let's see what happened.
And it worked. My total cholesterol number totally went down, and it went down significantly in just 5 short weeks. Initially, my total cholesterol, 265. Now, 217. If I check this 3 months later, it'd probably be even below 200, which is ideally where we want it to be. So now I have to keep my cholesterol low and healthy by continuing this lifestyle. That doesn't mean I won't occasionally indulge in some pizza or burgers or like chicken nuggets or something, but I've learned to love fiber-rich foods. I've learned to incorporate more plant-based foods in my diet, and frankly, I feel like my palate has evolved. It's like a Pokemon.
All right, so my observations on Dr. Mike's results. First of all, I'm just kind of wondering, I'm just kind of puzzled at why he didn't show his LDL cholesterol. Every lipid panel that I've ever gotten in my life has your total cholesterol and your LDL cholesterol, either measured directly or calculated. So unless you got some bizarre cheapo blood panel, Dr. Mike, what's your LDL? Because as Dr. Bilardo said, that's the #1 risk factor, not total cholesterol. And I couldn't believe that was a pretty high starting total cholesterol, 265. It's almost 100 points higher than what mine is at 180. Anyway, it's great that his total cholesterol dropped down to 215, and I'm sure your LDL did go down quite a lot there too. I'm not saying it didn't. I just thought it'd be more complete if we saw the entire blood test there, the entire lipid panel, that is. But speaking of which, am I one of the only people that puts up their entire blood test for all to see? I mean, I put the lipid panel, vitamin B12, testosterone, the whole thing. I share my results with you. As an 11-year vegan, 54 years old, I feel it's incumbent upon me to share with the world that you can be a long-term vegan and older like I am and be very healthy. And let's move on to one last thing I'd like to say to Dr. Mike, if you happen to be watching, is that I'm glad you're having these great results, eating more plants, your body looks good, feels good, and the lab panels reflect what you're experiencing. They're all positive things. I want to encourage you to push this plant-based way of eating even more. I want you to think about how it's absolutely unnecessary to consume animal products, to be a thriving, healthy person, even if you're older and athletic. If not, my results wouldn't be where they're at. It's absolutely unnecessary to harm animals, to exploit animals in order to get all the nutrition you need. So consider, if you're really feeling good eating this way, eating a bunch of plants, just eat all plants. Like I said, I've been doing this now 11 years, and I have all my blood tests from the past 10 years. In fact, I have some going back from like 1999 when I was full on not vegan, and I'm actually healthier as a 50-something person than I was at 30 years old. Like, usually it works the other way around. Usually you get less healthy as you get older, and I'm just getting stronger and healthier. So anyway, think about it, Dr. Mike. Think about how if you really are a person who has compassion for animals and doesn't want to needlessly cause harm to animals, because it is needless to harm and eat animals because you can consume all plants, consider going vegan for the animals too, and you'll get lots of extra wins there too, spiritually and so on. Anyway, guys, I don't want to get too woo-woo here, but yeah, comment down below, let me know if you saw Dr. Mike's video before I did. I want to thank one of our viewers from the live stream. I can't remember your name, but you're the one that told me to check out this video, and I'm so glad you did. So thanks a lot. So hit like, hit subscribe, comment down below, talk about your blood panels, your LDL cholesterol experiences. Is it high or low? What have you done to lower it? And until next time, guys, let's stay happy, healthy, and vegan.